The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
And welcome to Tony Kurre Radio. This is a podcast, of course, thanks to tens of thousands of folks who have downloaded the Tony Kurre Radio app. They listen to classic rock 168 hours a week, and they hear all of the 13, 14 different shows we do. And, of course, then you go to Tony Kurre Radio Podcast. Wherever you listen to your podcast, we're on every major indice. And one of our most listened to shows because the UAB Blazer Nation is on fire right now. They have a lot of reasons to be really, really happy. Mark Ingram, the athletic director for the UAB Blazers, this is called the UAB Director's Chair, and he joins us right now. Mark, I hope you're having a happy and blessed holiday season. How are you?
I definitely am, Tony. Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Man, killer way to kick off the bowl season. I know a lot of people were talking about that Tennessee Super Bowl where the guy catches it a yard and a half short. Great tackle at the end of the game in the Bahamas Bowl. What a great way to kick off the bowl season. Talk about it.
It's very similar ending, right?
Yep.
In fact, my college roommate was in that game, and so I remember it well because I was watching so intently, and he was playing for the Titans, and thought he was about to get a Super Bowl ring, but I had another teammate that was on the Rams, so I guess it was good either way. But it was so similar. And Coach Vincent and I kind of laughed about that as well right after the game. But I'm so happy for our players to finish with a win that they so well deserved, and our coaches, everybody to sort of close out there together, that group. You don't think of it like this, but every senior class, every time, the reason it becomes kind of emotional is at some point it hits you, wow, this group of people is never going to play together again because the seniors are graduating. And so I was just so happy for them. And it's terrible when you lose. Nobody wants to lose, right? But when you lose the very last game of the year, you can't redeem yourself or get that bitter taste out of your mouth for another 9 months.
Yep, that's true.
So, it's great to finish off with that victory.
And, of course, I did a show with Aldo Greco for 14 years, and he was on that Tennessee squad, and he just thought for sure they were going to score. He wanted to kick that extra point. And, of course, in most cases, the kicker decides a game of that magnitude. And so he was looking forward to – he was never scared of anything, man. He loved it, and he's like, man, I had dreams of making the game-winning kick in a Super Bowl in overtime. It would have been killer, but it just came up a little short for them, as it did for Miami of Ohio, but much to the wonderment of course, the UAB fan nation. It was just fantastic. All right, so we were talking a little bit before we started the show here. Trent Dilfer, of course, you made the announcement several weeks ago on the Tony Kurre Radio Network, and pretty amazing stuff. I loved what he had to say at the Bahamas Bowl. He said all the right things. There aren't a lot of coaches that really talk about the men in the uniforms. The uniforms are important, but he just seems so, for a guy who's only been coaching high school football, I just love to hear about how he wanted to mentor these men, how he wanted to grow these men, and that this is going to be a 2, 3, 4-year process, and then they've got the rest of their lives, and the majority of these guys will not be playing at the next level. They just won't be. It's less than 1% of all schools where football players are going to get drafted. Just talk about that. I know you saw that. That had to make you proud as an athletic director.
It definitely does, and it's what drew me into him. After I did the research, I said this in the press conference. People that want to criticize, I can't believe you hired a high school coach. Well, I didn't hire a high school coach. I hired a guy that played 14 years in the NFL at the quarterback and was an All-Pro and a Super Bowl champion and has been the head coach of Elite 11, the premier quarterback academy in the country, which I dug into that. I used to think that was like a 2-3 day camp in California. It's not. I think it used to be. It is a series of camps, a network of camps all over the country. So when you start thinking about his connectivity to high school coaches all over the country, it is vast. And I needed time to see that. And then, 9 years with ESPN as an analyst and doing draft analytics. And I thought that's all player evaluation. And then, yes, for the last 4 years, has also, in addition to all those things, has also been a high school coach, taking one of the worst programs in the state of Tennessee and turning it into one of the best programs in the entire nation. Yeah, he has been that. And so, but when I asked him questions, his answers were very different than any answer of all my other candidates. And he talked a lot about how football is just a byproduct of what they do. And it's an interesting situation with a guy like Trent, who is financially secure. He's not coaching because he wants to be paid. I mean, he wants to be paid, but that's not why he's doing it. He really over and over again talked about it being a calling for him, and that he needed a challenge, and he wanted the challenge, and he said that football had given him a lot, and that he needed to give back to football, and that football is just a byproduct of mentoring and raising young people. And I will share this true story in already, and I won't name the player's name, but he said to one of our players in the last practice before we went to the Bahamas, he was just out observing practice, and he pulls one of the guys off to the side and he says, "Hey, listen, I want to make a deal with you." And the guy says, "Hey, coach, what's up?" He says, "I want to make a deal with you." He says, "I think you're good enough to play in the NFL."
Wow.
And the guy says, "Oh, thanks." And he goes, "But here's the deal." He says, "I'm going to get you to the NFL on one condition. You've got to turn your GPA from this to that,
Wow.
like a 2.5 to a 3.0. He goes, "You do your part. I'll do my part. You'll be a better person. You'll be a better player, and you'll be a higher draft pick."
That's a great story.
He didn't say, "I can get you there if you work hard in the weight room or if you get in the film, and if I teach you that." No, he says, I'll do my part if you'll do your part. And his part was school.
Yeah.
That is not, look, it's one thing to say that in an interview, right? It's another thing to then go do that.
Yeah. That's a great
so he's going
story.
to practice what he preaches, which I'm thrilled with.
That's a great story. Yeah, UAB Director's Chair. This is a podcast we do every week, and he's we're very grateful and gracious to have Mark Ingram join us here, the athletic director for the UAB Blazers. We love talking coaches. We love talking X's and O's, but I love to pull the curtain back a little bit and see how things work, and Mark does a magnificent job at that. Trent does have the connectivity. He does have the networking. He has the TV presence. He has the NFL career. He has the branding of his name. That's got to transfer, I would think, into recruiting. How is the recruiting looking? I know the signing day is going on and everything else, but what can UAB fans expect from Trent Dilfer as far as a recruiter goes, and how's his staffing being filled out?
Yeah, so he doesn't have a full staff yet. So the recruiting that he's been doing has been with a partial staff, and even the partial staff that he's had, some of them are, sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out because they're trying to close up shop at the place they're leaving. But he actually last night, he said, going into this, I thought on a scale of 1 to 10, we might be somewhere around a 5. He said, "I think we may be more like a 9. He said,
Wow.
This group is really good. Recruiting rankings always are better when you sign a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that we're going to sign a quarterback today. So that just makes, when you sign a bunch of linemen, they don't get the love that they should probably from the people that do those rankings. But talent wise, he said he thinks it may be the most talented group we've ever signed. Yeah. There's some real athletes, and he had a big group here visiting on campus this past weekend. I was there both days, meeting with kids and their parents. They were a great looking group physically. And then, the previous staff had a number of guys committed. And so he went through and evaluated them on which ones he wanted to keep committed and which ones he wanted to maybe encourage to look elsewhere based on scheme or whatever. And I think he's going to keep most of the guys that he wanted to keep from the previous commitments. So between that and the ones that are new to us, he's really excited about the athleticism and their size. He thinks they've added a lot of length, which is, that's your wingspan, how long are your arms and legs, and your ability to, why does that matter? Well, if you're a defensive player, you can keep, offensive linemen off of you, away from your body, so that you can go make a tackle. If you're a receiver, obviously having, being tall and rangy allows you to catch more passes, right? Or at least get in position to do so. So he's really excited about the group.
Well, we know this, and you're a football player, man. I mean, it all starts with the line. I mean, you could have the greatest quarterback in the world, but if you can't protect him and you can't play defense and have a great defensive line, you're not going to win football games. So it's amazing. UAB Director's Chair right here with Mark Ingram. He's the athletic director for the UAB Blazers, and thanks to everyone who continues to listen to the show. The thing is just blowing up, and people are loving it. And Trent Dilfer, the hire that you did, obviously has a big part of that. A lot of people are saying we shouldn't even have commitments anymore because they're not commitments. They can commit for a short period of time, but it's more of a dating process now. You go out with her for a little bit, and if you're not get what you want from him or her, then you decide to go to the transfer portal and just bolt. Is the transfer portal? You're an athletic director. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's not a bad thing. The portal is just a mechanism that they use to transfer. What I would say is bad about the portal is that prior to its existence, a player that wanted to transfer had to go in and meet with the coach, say, "Hey, coach, for this reason, I would like to transfer." And they had it forced a conversation. Is that conversation uncomfortable? Yes. But, that's part of growing up, right? I think it was a really good thing from the maturation of any young man or young woman that thought they wanted to transfer, and they could have that conversation with the coach. I'm not playing enough. I'm homesick. I'm, whatever it is, they could say, and they could decide and agree to transfer or not. If they were, I'm not playing enough, that gave the coach the opportunity to say, well, hey, man, the person that you've been second string behind, they graduated. We're counting on you, and so they could have that discussion. They don't have to do that anymore. They can get into the portal at any time on their own. They don't even need our help hardly to get in. And so that'd be the downside to it. The other thing that, from a recruiting standpoint, that I think is a real problem, in my opinion, is this early signing period. Now, we initially did it because we thought it would make it easier on the high school recruit. So many of them get to this point and they're just ready to be done with it. But that's not the majority. The majority need more time. And then, frankly, what it's done, though, is it's hurt the current college team, meaning that's why you're seeing so many of these coaches lose their jobs in the middle of the season. It's because, we've got to figure out who's going to be our coach before early signing period. So we're firing people after, week 3 or 5 or something in the middle of the season. Well, that's not fair to the kids on the team today. And you're doing it all because of the prospects who aren't even here today, so that you can have a coach in place for the next signing class whom you have no relationship with. Yeah. And so to me, it's bad for your existing players. It's not fair to your existing roster for that to happen. It basically is, and it's necessary. I'm not criticizing people who've done it, because you have to do it. Yep. You have to do it. But it's not fair to the kids on the current team.
Mark, talk about 2023 a little bit. And of course, people will listen to these podcasts indefinitely, so it may already be 2023 by the time you're listening to this. But what changes as an athletic director? I know you're an athletic director. You're not a football director. You're an athletic, so you have sports year round. Does anything really change when you kick off the new year? Is it I mean, as far as in personal, obviously it's a new year for you, Mark Ingram, but as an athletic director, does anything change?
Well, for us, we have 18 sports and 450 student athletes. And so, yes, we have sports year round. Basketball is heavily underway, men's and women's. And then in January, baseball and softball will start their practices. And, track, we have a track team that's competing in indoor, and then they'll turn to outdoor in the spring. And the golf teams pretty much play year round, as does bowling and rifle. So we got a lot going on here in the spring. For us, in this particular year, now that we turn the corner as we do in January, we'll be, 6 months away from joining the American Athletic Conference. And so we have been doing a lot of prep work for that and getting ready. But that'll get, sort of more so in earnest here as we turn into January, getting ready for the end of the spring semester so that we're ready and prepared for the next fall.
All right, so I'm getting a bunch of questions here because everyone knows I talk to you every week. They know we're friends. I'm probably much better friends with you than you are with me. I know that this works, but I love you like a brother from another. And I keep getting asked questions about Mark Ingram going to Mississippi State as the athletic director there. Is there? And I will as he laughs. I've heard a lot of coaches laugh. Mark, listen. You just made one of the biggest splashes in college football as far as in hirings. I know you weren't the only one to make that hire, but you got Trent Dilfer to come to the UAB Blazers. You got a brand new stadium. There's been a lot of wonderful things that have been done under your watch, and you can't tell me that people don't notice those things. And while UAB is going to the AAC, and I know you love UAB, and I know you bleed gold and orange or gold and green. Maybe some orange down the road. But I mean, a lot of people were wondering if you would entertain. Let's say I'm going to ask a question. Would you entertain that possibility?
Well, I'll say, Tony, as you know, I have not done a thing here at UAB. And But we have done a lot, and I'm proud to be a part of that. And I don't know who notices what. I just get up every day trying to do a better job than I did yesterday. Sometimes I think I'm successful at that, and sometimes not. And as far as Mississippi State, I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, I know they have an opening. I'm aware of that. I have not had any conversation with Mississippi State or folks in Starkville, and certainly wish them well in their searches. I'm sure they'll do a great job with whoever they select. But I mean, it's flattering. I appreciate your question. It's flattering that people would ask you that, and I'm thankful for that for the right reasons. But I do not believe that I'm a candidate at Mississippi State. To my knowledge, I'm not.
And I believe you. I really do. All right. Tell everyone how they can get tickets. I know the basketball program is fantastic. I've seen them 3 times already this year, maybe 4 times. The football program will be back big time with Trent Dilfer, and I know people are excited about not only a brand new coach, but also a brand new conference. It's going to be awesome just to see those different, like Memphis, and see different football teams coming to Protective is going to be awesome. But tell people how they can get tickets and some other exciting things you got going under your athletic tutelage.
Yeah, well, the football season tickets are on sale. So to your point, for next season, we encourage people to start thinking about that now. You can call our ticket office or go to uabsports.com or just come by Bartow Arena where the ticket office is and get tickets for that. Our men's and women's basketball teams are both off to a great start. The ladies are playing here today. Today's the 21st of December. They've got a noon game today against Alcorn State, so I'm excited to go watch them play. And then our men play tomorrow night, the 22nd, against Charlotte. That's our first conference game of the year, starting a little earlier than we normally do. Excuse me. And Charlotte is really good, and they're big, and they shoot a lot of three-pointers. They're in Andy Kennedy's words, they play this like one of the slowest games in the country, which is really hard to defend when you're a team like us that likes to play up tempo. So both teams will try to force the other team into a different style of basketball than we like to play. But Andy thinks it's one of the best teams we've played. I mean, West Virginia is the best team that we've played to this point. He thinks that Charlotte may be second or third, depending on who you look at it, who and how you look at it, along with Toledo. So they're a really good team, and we need a great crowd tomorrow night. So if you're looking for something to do over the holidays, we got a lot of games over the holidays, starting with the Thursday night, the 22nd, to kick off your happy holiday season with the Blazers. And we hope that you'll join us to cheer on this really, really fantastic, very talented team. And Conference USA this year, as a league, is, every school every team, is part of the RPI system. We get a ranking through the RPI, but every conference also has an RPI. And the highest rank that Conference USA has been in my time here is 13th. Well, this year we're 10th.
Nice.
And that means that the league itself is really good, much better than it has been. And so don't discount our opponents. Everybody's playing really good basketball and going to be tougher than we've seen in the past. So we need all our fans here to help us win.
Mark, as always, special thanks to you, and I appreciate your time. One of our most listened to podcasts here on Tony Kurre Radio, and wherever you get your podcast, check out Tony Kurre Radio. That's Kurre with a K, Kurre, and look for Mark Ingram, a UAB Director's Chair. We'll catch up next week, and then 2023, my man. It's going to be an awesome year. I appreciate your time.
I hope that we will, Tony. And at some point, we've got to talk about what is the best Christmas song of all time.
Oh, wow.
When are we going to talk about that? This is something that people want to know.
Well,
teaser for next time.
We're kind of out of time with Christmas, so if we're going to do it, we need to do it now. Well, I know White Christmas is the number one selling song of all time.
No way. That can't be true. Are you telling me that that's better than Dolly Parton Hard Candy Christmas?
No, Hard Candy Christmas is my favorite. There's no doubt. I'm just telling you that's the biggest selling
Blue
Christmas song.
by Elvis?
Yeah, probably. Man,
have you heard the new Christmas song by the Philadelphia Eagles?
I have not. I have not.
It is strong. In all seriousness, Tony, it is strong. It is really good.
I'll listen to it as soon as I hang up, I promise.
It's really good.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Happy holidays.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.